Good evening, brothers and sisters. It's your brother Rams here, and I'm glad to be back on the airwaves. First of all, I want to say I'm very thankful to all my supporters and listeners out there. I'm growing and growing by the almighty grace of God. And I'm so thankful for all y'all support, and thank you for God giving me this knowledge to pass on to y'all. But I like to first start out my podcast on a somber note today, and it involves the two National Guardsmen that were killed. One was killed and one was seriously wounded in D.C. this year. And I just want to say I offer my condolences and my prayers to the families of them people. Uh, it's disheartening. You know, they just went to do a job, and as I see it, they were used as political pawns because they were not equipped to deal with something like that. But I'll get into that political sauce here in a minute. But I just want to offer my condolences and my prayers to the two National Guardsmen. The one sister that died, her name was Sarah uh, Beckstrom, and my heart goes out to her family because they lose a child. She was a young girl. They were from the National Guard unit in West Virginia. Okay, they were from the National Guard unit in in West Virginia. And you know, as I said, they were used as political pawns, and unfortunately, this is what has happened. So my condolences and prayers to their families, brothers and sisters. We all got to bow our heads because all they did was try to uh, uh, do their job. They were sent there like any true soldier, but these are folks that had families. The young sister Sarah Beckstrom, uh, she had just got out of high school a couple of years prior to joining the National Guard, and again they were used as pawns in our fake president's war on crime, he so calls. Now, I got to say this from the beginning. He does have authority in D.C., he does. But he didn't have the authority to take the National Guardsmen from West Virginia and send them there. And he put them in harm's way. So that's what I just want to say at the beginning of this. My condolences and prayers. And again, first and foremost, they're not trained to do police work. Okay, they're not trained for that. They're trained to kill, and they were ambushed. They were ambushed by a man that used to work for the an Afghani, or whatever the word is to call one of them, but they were ambushed by an Afghani, but he worked for the government, the United States government, and they brought him over here when Afghanistan fell because he helped American soldiers. Okay, let's make the picture clear. He helped American soldiers, so they gave him, because if he stayed there after being sort of like an Uncle Tom, that they were gonna hang him or find him and kill him. So they brought him to America and gave him a emergency visa to stay there in America. But again, I he didn't make it as far as life here in America. He had a wife, 5 children, and he somehow became radicalized. But again, going back to that sister Sarah Beckstrom and the other gentleman's name is Andrew Wolf. He's in the hospital right now fighting for his life. So please, people, say a prayer for him. Say a prayer for his family, because you know you got a child laying up there jammed up. You don't know 1 minute to the next whether they're gonna live or die. So again, please say your prayer and for Mr. Andrew Wolf, because he was just doing his job. Remember, these people have regular jobs. Okay, they have regular jobs. They have regular lives. They just went for the call of their duty. The National Guard was sent there. They just followed orders. But again, they're not trained for police work. They're trained for war. And they were in a situation that they didn't understand that under normal war circumstances, they would have been on more of an alert. but they weren't on alert because the atmosphere wasn't warlike, and they had to deal with crime, and they just were not trained for that. But that's what was happening there. And they were ambushed, brothers and sisters. So I just want to say, please give them all your support. They got a difficult job to do, brothers and sisters, and we gotta encourage them and give them all our support because they did what they were supposed to do. All right. Yeah. I got to give you a little bit of Black history. I'm gonna give you some of that at the end anyway. I'm gonna always give you some Black history, brothers and sisters, so you can count that. You can take that to the bank. There was a little song in the day used to be called "Take That to the Bank." You can take that to the bank. And I want to talk about a sister that just passed, and another one. And I tried not, I got to mention these people, but she just passed, and her name was uh, Violet Ford Fletcher. Now, who was that, Brother Rams? Violet Ford Fletcher. She was the last survivor of the uh, Tulsa, Oklahoma massacre. Okay, of the Tulsa, Oklahoma massacre. And I look at that, and my heart, it hurts for what happened, but it gave me an idea on how our people can build. We got to build another Tulsa, Oklahoma. And they didn't have nowhere near the money that black folks spend in America. They called it Black Wall Street because of its prosperity. Tulsa, Oklahoma. She was a survivor. She was 7 years old. And she watched the angry white mob descend upon her people and killing them mercilessly, just killing them. Massacre, race massacre, one of the worst in U.S. history, race massacre. And a lot of them black business, I got to point out this is black history. Who had insurance? We were sharp. We had built our own community, hotels and barbershops and lawyers and doctors and businesses and hotels and banks. That's what you can accomplish, black man. Remember what our brother, the Honorable Marcus Garvey said. Up, you mighty race, you can accomplish what you will. And so our sister, uh, uh, Viola Ford Fletcher, she died at 111 years old. She just died this week. Take my hat off to her, but she died with a broken heart. She died with a broken heart. Why you say that, Brother Ram? I said because back in 2020, her and a couple of the survivors, they were septuagenarians. Okay, that means when you live to be at least 100 years old. They filed a lawsuit for reparations. They filed a lawsuit for reparations. Excuse me. That's a Freudian slip for separation, but that's gonna come at another time. But again, they filed a lawsuit, and it was that sister there and another sister named Leslie Benefiel Randall, and then there was a gentleman. His name was gosh, it escapes me right now, but there was three of them, and they filed a lawsuit for reparations for what happened to them because their generational wealth was stolen from them. Was actually stolen from them. And oh yeah, by the way, I got to mention a lot of those black folks who own business and stuff. They had insurance. See, that's how heavy we were. That we had insurance, we had all that. We even let white people borrow from our banks. We even let white people borrow from our banks. But again, that led to a certain jealousy. It led to a certain jealousy, brothers and sisters. And that's what happened. So the angry white mob, seeing black excellence, descended upon us and massacred our people. massacred our people, brothers and sisters. And the government helped. Oh, I forgot to mention that part. Some of the planes they used were used in World War One. They pulled them out the sheds to help drop gasoline bombs on the black businesses. But I say this, my brothers and sisters, especially my Caucasian brothers who heap this violence on us. When we rebuild again, you won't be able to do that again. We will have the military strength to protect our property. And we got military giants that will train us. That's not a threat. We got to protect our interests because we've been a victim of so many race mob massacres that we have to protect ourselves. And that's a law of nature. You have to protect yourself. So this next time when we rebuild, but why? Why? Why was that possible? Because they saw, remember, I keep saying this, but I'm going to keep bringing it up because it permeates every part of our life. Article 1, Section 2, Clause 3. The Negro is 3/5 of a human. So you can do anything to the Negro. It's okay. No, it's not. It's not okay to do anything to the Negro. But they did without fear of retribution. But again, like I said, a lot of them black businesses, going back to what I was saying a little while ago, a lot of those black businesses had insurance. Okay, you burn me down, now I go collect insurance. I'll put my claim in with my insurance company. You know what they did to the black businesses? You know what they did. Oh, we canceled your claim. No, we ain't paying nothing. What? You took my money? Oh, yeah, see, because the way we ruled it was you was an equal participant in the riot. That was the technicality they used on the black man then. You were a willing participant, almost like mutual combat. Like if two dudes agree to stop fighting, you can't blame one or the other. It wasn't a case of that. They attacked innocent black folks. But that's just, again, not to pay out the claim. So they didn't have any insurance when their building got burnt down. The insurance companies wouldn't honor it. And of course, most of the insurance companies were owned by my Caucasian brothers and sisters. And that's what happened. So not only did their business get burnt down, they didn't have money to rebuild. And that comes from the jealousy of my Caucasian brothers because they saw black excellence in it. It dumbfounded them. It dumbfounded them how the 3/5 Negro could build such luxury, riding around in cars back in 1921. What? Negro with a car? Man wearing furs, silks, jewelry. They saw black excellence and it scared them. It scared them. So we're going to kill them. We'll burn them out. But going back to what I was saying about Miss Fletcher, God rest her soul, 111 years young. And like I said, Leslie Benefiel Randall, she also was one of those who put a lawsuit out there on the in Oklahoma. But you know what happened, of course. Come on, let's tell the truth, Brother Rams. You know what they did to us. The Oklahoma Supreme Court dismissed the lawsuit. You old Negroes ain't getting no money. You're not human. You're not human. So we're giving a non-human Negro millions and millions of dollars in reparations? Not here, you're not. The Oklahoma Supreme Court dismissed the case in 2024. They filed it in 2020, but these old Negroes will be dead soon. I ain't going to give them no money. Plus, they're not equal to us. That's for white people who got burnt out. All that generational wealth that was lost. That's generational wealth. That means your kids, your grandkids, the great grandkids, well, now won't be born into poverty, brothers and sisters. They erased all that and said your life ain't worth nothing. So the three, there was two women. Like I said, it was our sister Fletcher, our sister Randall, and there was a gentleman. And they filed this lawsuit in 2020. By 2024, the Supreme Court dismissed. Of course, they dragged it on another few years. I mean, think about it. If these people are already 100, if you drag it on, who's to say they'd have survived? And of course, now two of them have basically, 2 out of that 3 is basically dead. So of course they're saying, well, that's why we didn't give them the money. And that's sad. It's really, really sad. So brothers and sisters, again, understand this 3/5 clause will permeate every aspect of American life. And I'm going to show you where it comes in again. Because this is a devilish thing written into the Constitution because it defines the Negro's place here in America. And then you've asked most Americans, black, white, and everything in between, they don't even understand that that clause is there, but it's responsible for the treatment of the black man here in America. His status in America is defined by that one article that's in the Constitution because it makes the black man unequal with the white man. And that's why there's inequality in America. And that's why I say that. But I just want to turn a little bit because in my podcast, I talk about white people of goodwill. Because there are some white people of goodwill. And I'm going back to the days, I'm an old head kind of, and back days in the March on Washington, and Martin Luther King, and 63, and voting rights, and civil rights, and all of that. Back then, you saw so many white people of goodwill. They want freedom, justice, and equality for the Negro in America. We had so many of goodwill white people. But what has happened, Brother Rams, they have slowly dwindled over the years. And now white people of goodwill now have become white people of silence. But we know silence is compliance. When you say nothing, then you're really in compliance about what's being done. You see an old woman getting robbed. You don't say a word. You don't even call the police. We ain't asking you to jump in because you don't know what you're jumping into. But call the police to help the old woman out. But now, hey, it's not my business. It doesn't involve me. And that's what's happening now. So I talk about Caucasians of goodwill. And I know some people say, well, Ram, you say that the black people should teach their own children. I say, yeah. She said, but what about white people? I said, there's white people of goodwill, but see, right now, they have dwindled in such great numbers that what happens is what you get is you got to have white people, they got to pass the burden of proof that they are Caucasians of goodwill. See, before there wasn't too much you had to do. But now, to this day and age, yeah, to be considered Caucasian of goodwill, you're going to have to show it. You just can't say it. You got to show it. And that's why I want to talk about this sister, Caucasian sister, beautiful sister. And I'm going to say her name, and I want you all to listen very carefully. The sister's name, Caucasian sister, but she's still my sister. Because this is the 21st century. We got to look at ourselves like family, brother. We can't look at ourselves, oh, he black, he white, he Muslim, he Jew, he's a Christian, he's a this, he's a that. That all divides us, damn it. The true and living God made us all one. It even says it on the damn coin. E pluribus unum. Out of many come one. Out of many come one. It's a Latin phrase. It's on your coin. Go look at it if you doubt me. E pluribus unum. Out of many come one. And this sister's name is Mackenzie Scott. Her name is Mackenzie Scott. She's the former wife of Jeff Bezos. But this is what makes her a white woman that I don't even really see the color, but I see the goodness in her heart. To show you, my Caucasian brothers and sisters, no, you can't do it on her scale. She's a multi-billionaire, damn it. But you can still be a white person of goodwill, no matter how big or small you do. This Mackenzie Scott, she's contributed almost $500 million to HBCUs and to the United Negro College Fund. Stop right there, Brother Ram. HBCUs and United Negro College Fund? Yes. So what makes you so? Because she's financing education. What's the key to your salvation, brothers and sisters? It's education. And she's funneling millions and millions of dollars to fund the HBCUs and the United Negro College Fund, UNCF. So if it ain't one of the, one of the HBCUs, there's still money for you to get to go to college. That's important to understand. This is what she's done. Bowie State gave him $50 million. Mackenzie Scott, $50 million. North Carolina A&T, she gave him $63 million. Man, do you know how many students that can help? But did you hear the name of the school? This is what I want y'all to catch on to. The name of the school was North Carolina A&T. But what does the A&T stand for, Brother Ram? Agricultural and technical. Agricultural and technical? Yes. They teach you how to grow your food. They're teaching you technology dealing with agriculture. The latest. So you can feed yourself, black man and woman. He who controls your food controls your revolution. North Carolina A&T. Giving them technical education, but education about agriculture. Because you're going to have to grow your own food and then learn how to eat to live. Bowie State, $50 million. North Carolina A&T, $63 million. Prairie View, A&M, $63 million. And that's up from $50 million that she gave in 2020. That's up from $60 million. $63 million. It was up from 50. She went from 50 to 63 for Prairie View A&M. That's agriculture and mechanical. See, I'm in favor of this type of education for the black man. Agricultural, and not just farming, but mechanical. That includes plumbing, electricity, all the mechanical stuff used to build. Carpentry. All kind of boiler systems, how to heat, refrigeration, all kind of technology that can expand into small businesses for black people. Mackenzie Scott, goodwill white woman. Tip my hat to her. Norfolk State. She gave him $50 million She gave it like it was a cheese sandwich. The biggest donation in the 90-year history of Norfolk State. Biggest donation. Why? She want to see the Negro educate himself, which I keep telling you is important. And I'm going to get into that a little bit later. But she want to see the Negro educate himself, which then gives him what? A proper education. Remember, I told you my saying, I'll keep saying it because it's needed to say. Without a proper education, you are subject to manipulation. Remember that phrase because it's coming up in a little bit. Agriculture and mechanical at Prairie View. Norfolk State, 50 million. And that's up from the 30 million she gave in 2020. Helping black folks in the most critical area, and that's education, brothers. That's important. She helped black students get a college education and a skill. Remember, agricultural and technical, agriculture and mechanical. That's heavy stuff, brothers and sisters. That's Norfolk State. And then Winston-Salem University, 50 million she gave them. Again, the biggest gift in the university's history. And again, it's up from 30 million. She damn near doubled it, man, in 3-4 years. It was 30 million in 2020. Now it's up to 50 million. One of our white sisters don't see color. She could have gave that money to the Mormons. She could have gave that money to any Catholic charity. She gave it to black folks. Not just, to give them black folks money, but to help them in a key part, and that's education. What does education do, brothers and sisters? It takes you out of the ignorance of darkness and brings you into the spiritual understanding of the light. It takes you out of the darkness of ignorance into the light of understanding and, of course, the Word of God. Because that's the truth. That's what a proper education gives you. It gives you the truth. And that's why I urge my black parents in particular and all my people of color that make sure that you teach your children. You must teach your children. Okay? So what she's done, she's donated more than $500 million to the HBCUs and the United Negro College Fund. White woman of goodwill. Because you know why? She knows she's like worth $34 billion. She can't spend all that money if she cried her eyes out. How can I help somebody who really need it? See, that's the mentality of the white people of goodwill when I came up. I don't understand some of our Caucasian brothers and sisters today. There's a silence that they do when they see wrong. They know it's wrong, but they become silent. And that's the sad part. That's the sad part, my brothers and sisters. So again, her name is Mackenzie Scott. She's a very important woman, goodwill Caucasian sister who helped out her black brother and sisters trying to make it in college, trying to achieve something. Kudos to her, and I'm going to tell you right now, God gonna bless you. Gonna bless you. You don't never have to worry about nothing. Not saying, well, you think you can buy your way into. Now, it's not buying your way, baby. It came from the heart because she didn't have to do that. She could have been invested in some craziness like Bitcoins or Trump meme coins or some foolishness. No. She realized where the Negro needed the most, and that is he needs to educate himself, and he needs to educate his own. And once he does that, then you'll see a people return to their greatness. You'll see a people return to their greatness. And that's, as I say, that's a very important thing, brothers and sisters. But right now, I'm going into the topic of this podcast. I'm going to pivot a little bit. Going to pivot a little bit, brothers and sisters, right now. And I want to talk to you about a subject that doesn't get much attention. It really don't. But I believe that it should, and it is important to the future of America. This is a subject no one really talks about. But I'm going to talk about it because I'm Brother Ram, and I got to pull your coat to all the things that affect black people, white people, brown, and everybody in between. That subject is called the miseducation of white children in the American educational system. It's called the miseducation of white children in the American education system. Brother Ram, miseducation of white children? I thought you were just talking about black children. No, it has an effect on both. But it doesn't, what you call, it doesn't, seems like it's that a bad thing. Okay, it doesn't seem like it's a bad thing. All right? Why are they happy with it? Because the American educational system on the surface seems to be beneficial to white students. Yeah, it seems beneficial to them. It's Eurocentric based, but what does that mean? It's set up to teach white ideology, white history, white accomplishments, and white mores. It's a Eurocentric system. In other words, it gets its main base from Europe. Okay? A Eurocentric perspective when it comes to education, and that's the American educational system. But there's a lot of serious flaws in it. There's a lot of serious flaws in it, brothers and sisters. And that's something that we got to realize. I'm getting my notes here together, brothers and sisters, but it's important. First, let's look at the definition of Eurocentrism in American education. What is it? Eurocentrism is the practice of teaching history, culture, and knowledge from a European and Western civilization perspective. Let me say that again. It's teaching history, culture, and knowledge from a European or Western civilization perspective. And I was saying this to a brother the other day. Watch the key word that my Caucasian brother uses now. He says, we need to return back to Western civilization. That's a code word for let's turn back to white nationness. Let's turn back to white nations. Not going to happen. That was the past. The new nations say you got to live with each other. You got to figure out a way to live with each other. So Eurocentrism, which is the root of American education, teaches, again, history, culture, and knowledge from a European or Western civilization perspective. And that's what it does. But, brothers and sisters, there's a problem with that. I got to mention the problem what it does. The first thing what it does is, when you teach from that perspective, you marginalize the non-European perspective. That your point of view don't count. Only one that counts is the white people European perspective. It marginalizes the perspective of black, brown, red, and yellow people. That's the first detraction of Eurocentric education, that it marginalizes the non-European, that his accomplishments mean nothing. Now they're not as good as the Caucasian. It fosters alienation among the other people of color. They don't feel part of that. They don't, because they don't see themselves. They don't see themselves, brother and sister. They don't see themselves in the book. They're not mentioned in any books. So they get alienated. They get turned off from the American educational system because it fosters alienation, because there's nothing about them. But this is the key piece. It creates a narrow view of the world. Look at what our fake president, is doing now. He's waging war against the darker peoples of the planet. He don't even want nothing taught black or brown in the public schools. He wants strictly Eurocentric education. It's not going to work. It's going to fail, because Eurocentric education, I got to tell you, brothers and sisters, was for the 20th century. Let me say that again. Eurocentric education was for the 20th century. Brothers and sisters, this is the 21st century. So they're going backwards. And what did I say with my podcast? History does not go backwards. Time moves forward and everything must change. This is the deal. So the educational system you got is antiquated. It harms white children because it gives them a narrow view of the world. It gives them a narrow view of the world. It perpetuates inferiority. It perpetuates white supremacy, and it perpetuates black and brown and red inferiority. Because you don't learn about no one else, you swear you're the top dog. So they keep that image that you all are just savages, ex-slaves. You've never accomplished anything. And that's why this president has now banned black books and stuff in the library. It's a crime to teach black history in America. It's a crime. When does that become a crime to teach black history? That doesn't make sense, but it has. And under Sleepy Joe and Kamala Harris, they allowed the southern states to turn black history into a crime instead of fighting them every step of the way. It affects subjects, this Eurocentric thing, and particularly history, science, has a devastating effect. Devastating, brothers and sisters. And that's what we must understand, that it has a negative effect on the Caucasian children. It gives them a warped sense. The educational system in America is antiquated and outdated. Let me say that again because it sounds a little bit like a rhyme. It's antiquated and outdated. And it will not fit in the 21st century. See, when white supremacy was big and the best thing going in the 20th century, man, bring it on. But again, what happened? Time moved forward. Time has moved forward. And now today's students got to be able to do what? They got to deal with all people. Know what that means? You got to deal with all kinds of people. And if you have an education that does that, then you're successful. But so, Brother Rams, what seems to be the solution? And guess what? The solution is not the same solution that our president has. He wants to go back into the 20th century and practice Eurocentrism. Won't happen. Our students will not be able to compete in the in the 21st century with a 20th century education. They will fall quickly behind. They will fall quickly behind, brothers and sisters. And one thing I want to tell you, what do educators really want? Here we go. They want a polycentric curricula. What do you mean? That means a curriculum that includes all people. Oh, there's some words there, Brother Rams. Include, diverse. What does your president say? DEI, DEI. No, we got to get rid of it. You can't get rid of it because that's God is the creator of diversity. God is the creator of equality. God created inclusion. You're not going to get rid of it. And you're going to try to educate the students for the 21st century on a 20th century education? It doesn't work. It won't work. They'll fall further and further behind, brothers and sisters. They will fall further and further behind. And that's real talk, brothers and sisters. You know, that's real talk. We're falling behind. And just think, our fake president has cut the education department, cut out funding for education, the one thing that could lift America up and put us back in the race. I got some countries that are top in math and science. Now, math and science rule the world. They rule the world. That's a key part of the STEM education. Science, technology, energy, and math. See? Science and math are a key. And if you ain't top in those two, you're not going to be top in STEM education. But this is some of the top countries when it comes to math and science. First one is Singapore. One of the top places for math and science. Second place, Hong Kong. Third place, South Korea. Fourth place, Japan. Tied for fourth is with Japan is Taiwan. Sixth place is Finland. Seventh place is Astoria. Eighth is Switzerland. Ninth is Netherlands. And 10th is Canada. You notice one nation I didn't say is in there? You guessed it. United States. We're like 28th in math and science. In math and science, we're 28th. And now you cut funding? You cut funding for that? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense, brothers and sisters. So that's why education is the key to our salvation. And we must change, because nothing can ever stay the same. You can't use the 20th century education in the 21st century. You can't. You've got to be inclusive. You got to have diverse curricula. It's mandatory if you're going to compete in the 21st century. And that's what America wants to do. But America won't be able to do it because they're cutting everything. They're taking certain books off the shelf. They're not allowing the educated people from other countries that could come help us They're keeping them out, cutting their nose to spite their face. And then our fake president said, yeah, and the technology come back with these new manufacturing jobs and all this and that. I said, but you're forgetting one thing. This ain't like the days of I Love Lucy. That's where you old heads. Where you stand on a assembly line passing stuff to each other. That's not the way it goes. The technology's too heavy. But you got to have the technological background to operate the machine. They don't have it. All the funding's been cut. A lot of that funding's been cut. So we're not going to be able to hang with the big boys. And it's sad. It's a sad thing. So I gave you some of the countries that are kicking our butt in math and science. And again, it's a hard thing to realize. But we have a president that doesn't emphasize that. As I said, education is the key to our salvation. And we need proper knowledge. And that's why I said, Mackenzie Scott, my hat off to you, sister. Because you understand where the Negro needs the most, and that is his education of self. He's got to have education of self. That's why they gave it to the HBCUs, so you can now educate our people. This is what we need. This is what we need. So, brothers and sisters, as I say all the time, we got to teach our children. And I gave you some kingdoms that were very powerful back in the day. The Zimbabwe, the Benin, the Ethiopian, powerful nations. Of course, my man, the Mali. But of course, there's others. The great Egyptian and Nubian empires, how they were intertwined. They were intertwined, brothers and sisters. So we got to do these things. It's necessary. And again, I tip my hat to Mackenzie Scott. I say a prayer for Sarah Beckstrom. I say a prayer for Mr. Wolf, National Guardman, fighting for his life. Please, people, say a prayer for them. Because they were used as pawns in a wicked king's foolish game. Because they were not trained to do street policing. They weren't trained. And that wicked shooter, he caught them off guard. Where if they had been in a war situation, they wouldn't have let down their guard. Because they're used to war. They know certain situations, you got to be on alert. They slacked up. And then there it was. So I just want to say that, brothers and sisters. But of course, Brother Rams, I got to have a little more Black history in there. Of course, I have to. Because we got to teach our own people. So of course I always deal with Black inventors. But see, white people think that they're the inventors. That's why I said the miseducation of white children. See, it minimizes and marginalizes the accomplishments of other people, non-European. That's the pitfalls of it. That's the pitfalls of it, brothers and sisters. You don't get a chance to hear about Black scientists. You don't even get a chance to hear about Spanish scientists. Oh, Spanish? Yes, Spanish. My Spanish brothers ain't always just out there cooking and whatnot. Cooking food is part of their culture, but we got some brilliant Hispanic brothers and sisters. How about Native American? Hmm? Again, you got the idea that there's some kind of savages. These people walked the earth before you were even around. You weren't even a thought, and the red man was on the earth. That's why when you came on the earth, you said, good God. But there was no place for you to live but the caves and hillsides of northern Europe, because you were originally in the Holy Land, but you got driven out for your mischief making and bloodshedding. Now you can take that and let it alone. And one day I'll explain to you what I mean by that. But again, that's heavy science for you right now. I got to build that up. And like I said, there will be a podcast called Where Do the Caucasian Come From? And I'm going to lay it down where the Caucasian comes from. See, because again, I know my history. Since I know my history, I know his history. Because I was here before him, so I understand what happened, how he got here. Just like you, as the oldest, you remember how your brother Jimmy and your sister Sally got here? You know all the circumstances, how they got here. So that's important for me for you all to understand. So right now I got to go down and give you some black inventions, because again, in America, they were told that you were too dumb to accomplish anything. Your IQ wasn't up there, even though you built pyramids. But I'm going to give you some names, just a few, just a little teeny bit, brothers and sisters. Because like I said, it's like a Thanksgiving dinner. Y'all, oh yeah, happy Thanksgiving for y'all that had a good meal. Be thankful. That's what God wants you to be. Be thankful for what you have, not what you don't have, because God knows you ain't supposed to have it. See, you don't have it because God don't want you to have that. It could mess you up, but you don't look at it that way. You just mad because you don't have it. So I'm gonna go down and talk about some of the great inventors here, and one of them, you have one of these in your house all just about in every room. It's called the light bulb. And one of the key men in making the light bulb was a gentleman. They were working in a place up in Massachusetts called Chelsea. His name is Lewis Latimer. Well, Thomas Edison invented the light bulb. Yes, he did. But there was one problem. The damn light bulb wouldn't stay on. So how did he get the light bulb to stay on? It created light, but it didn't stay on. And Lewis Latimer is famous for what? The carbon filament in the light bulb. The main thing to make the damn light bulb work, the carbon filament. Lewis Latimer, black man. Look him up if you doubt me. There's a sister, because I told you I always got to keep my sisters in there. Got to keep them in there because they are hell of a warriors and producers. And here's one. You know as Madam C.J. Walker. That sister's powerful. You know? She revolutionized the hair care for African American women. She discovered the hot comb. Invented the hot comb. The hot iron. I remember my aunts and them when they were young, they used to my grandmother used to hot iron their hair, straighten it out, and then put a little pomade in it. That's the grease to go in it to get it nice and silky and smooth. See? She revolutionized the hair care for African American women. Madam C.J. Walker, black woman. Next one is a gentleman called Otis Boynton. Otis Boynton? Who's he, Brother Ram? He invented electronic resistors for, get this, guided missiles. What? He created a key piece that allows those missiles to be guided. That you can steer it here, you can steer it there. Guided missiles. Otis Boykin. And then this is something everybody now has got in their home one way or another. The sister's name is Mary Van Britton Brown. Mary Brown. Who was she, Brother Ram? Mary Brown invented the home security system. Let me say that again. Mary Brown invented the home security system. And I got one more for you. How many of y'all got a pair of shoes or some sneakers? Take a look at them. If you look at the shoe or the sneaker, if you look down by the bottom, you'll see some stitching. Some of it you can barely see, but you still see some stitching there. This brother, his name was Jan Matzlinger. Jan Matzlinger. And he invented the machine that would take the top part of the shoe and stitch it to the sole. See, before it would take an arm and a leg to get done. Here, you put it on the machine and zip, 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 done. Imagine how many pairs of shoes you can make now. Jan Matzlinger. Look him up. Again, Lewis Latimer, Madam C.J. Walker, Otis Boykin, Mary Brown, and Jan Matzlinger. These are black inventors. So I'm going to give you always a little piece here. And then, like I told you, start looking up some of them empires. I'm going to do a little more with that. Give you a little something on the empires. Maybe next week I'll talk about the Zulu nation and my brother Shaka Zulu. So, brothers, as always, it's been a pleasure. And continue to support me. And again, the name of this podcast is going to be The Miseducation of White Students in the American Public Education System. The miseducation of white students in American education. So again, take care, brothers and sisters. Keep yourself safe. Keep your prayers. God is here. And again, I thank you. Be safe. Take care.